Hello everybody, welcome back to It's Current Year for another quick battle ladder replay. Today on the Altar of Ultimate Darkness, as everyone knows, one of my absolute least favourite maps in the map pool. I'm playing the Lizardmen up against the High Elves, and I've got a few interesting little picks in here today. So for my opponent's force, we have a couple of Dragon Princes on the flanks. Obviously, great, good physical resistance, great cavalry unit. Just very good stats, very good charge bonus, fire resistance. So they are resistant to sort of solar engines and that kind of thing in this matchup. A lot of physical resistance as well for just frontline fighting, and yeah, just general. Not necessarily a specialist in any way, anti-infantry or anti-large, just a great cavalry unit. In the front, we've got 3 units of Silver and Guard. So again, just holding the line, allowing the next row of 3 archers to possibly get some value. 3 archers in with a Metal Mage, obviously, who will be taking Plague of Rust as just its only spell. So great for just spam casting Plague of Rust and shooting down things like Bastillodons and that kind of thing, making up for the archer's lack of armor piercing. A couple of spearmen in the back to protect the back row and make sure the archers can get value. Up in the sky, we have an Arcane Phoenix. So pretty cool pick here. Obviously, it has its sort of vortex ability that can launch from overhead. So we'll see if it can get some value. And in the sky, leading the force here is Alariel, the Everqueen. She is obviously got access to a lot of healing, physical resistance, and immune psychology in an AoE. Good spell list, obviously Shield of Thorns synergizes quite nicely with the Dragon Princes, obviously to give them a bit more weapon damage and physical resistance, and then just, yeah, like we said, great healing. So potentially a lot of healing to go down on single entities like this Phoenix and the elite cavalry that my opponent has taken. For my force, we have 3 units of skink cohorts deployed out the front, 3 units of red-crested skinks, bit of armor piercing, bit of poison, 2 units of skink cohorts with javelins, again spreading some poison, can be useful in a pinch at screening sort of reavers and that kind of thing. In the back, we've got 3 Horney Bois, 3 Horned One riders, so just likewise decent stats. Obviously don't have great melee defense, but they've got, and they don't actually have a great charge bonus, but they're actually not too bad in prolonged combat with obviously a melee attack of 45, provided they can probably fight in and amongst infantry. They don't want to be sort of fighting a lot one-to-one. Good armor and a decent health pool, but obviously with only 36 unit models and 29 melee defense, they can be worked down pretty quickly. And 2 Arc of Sotek Bastillodons. So I figured we might see something like Silver and Guard, even Phoenix Guard. So just having this this ability to do area of effect damage might be cool. Also a Terra Causa in the front line. So I just figured I'd give them a chance, and they aren't sort of great units, but we try and make things work ahead of the curve here on at It's Current Year. So leading the force, up on the toilet seat, Lord Mazdamundi. He has the Ruination and Banishment, as well as his Shield of the Old Ones. I've gone Apotheosis, Curse of the Midnight Wind, as well as a Net. So yeah, also the Sunburst standard, because I figure might be some missiles, cheap spamming archers. So that probably will be quite relevant given what my opponent has taken. So we're both going to trudge up to the top of this awful map, the top of the hill. Phoenix going to come in and do some early scouting. And obviously at this point I'm starting to sort of gather a bit of info, see what my opponent has. We see the Dragon Princes ready to sort of spread out. One-to-one, Horned Ones will do okay against Dragon Princes. Obviously the physical resistance can be pretty nice, but a nice early vortex going down. I do pop the Refuse to Die, so I don't lose unit models, but I am going to lose a fair bit of HP there from that hit, so that was a nice use of that in the early game by my opponent. Bit of a mistake here. Should be breaking the bracing of the Silver and Guard before I charge in. 23 charge bonus on a unit with decent armor piercing and obviously decent melee attack is handy, and would have been better to have my charge bonus active there, but we will be able to cause some damage nevertheless. The red crested skinks here just sort of spreading their poison around, and we see the front lines clashing all across the lines. Silver and Guard, they're not going to kill skink cohorts super quick, so they will buy me some time, but all in all, probably not great just sending my forces in here willy-nilly. I should be trying to use my speed to pull them apart a little bit. As we see the Ark of Sotek releasing its snakes here upon the on the archers, which sometimes don't have great lines of fire here, just with the natural terrain. Can cause some pretty wonky sort of RNG just with your missile arcs and that kind of thing. This unit of Silver and Guard has actually been terrified off, which is really nice for me. I'm around into the archers now, getting into the soft underbelly here. Likewise, these horned ones are going to shut down these archers pretty quick. They'll blend through them really nicely. Over on this side, not going as well for me. Dragon Princes have engaged with skink cohorts. Silver and these are just regular spearmen, but the healing and the anti-large is probably meaning my Horn 1 riders here aren't trading very effectively at all. We are just spreading our poison where we can, though, debuffing the stats a little bit and the damage ability of the front line for the High Elves, as we see a big Ruination manages to work off this unit of archers. I was hoping to get a little bit of a 2-for-1, but this cohort of Sotek again have popped Refuse to Die. They're still at 77 unit models, and they're going to make pretty quick work of these archers. And at this point, we pulled our Horde ones back because we realised that this was probably not a fight that they wanted to be in. We need to use them elsewhere, so they're pulled out of the fight. The Phoenix is proving to be a bit of an annoying factor, and we have a banishment going down here, hoping that it might sort of turn onto the Dragon Princes here, but they very smartly do pull out. So he's bunched his Dragon Princes together now. Mazdamundi's sort of just pushing through with his mass. The Horned ones here are going to put a charge in, just try and break off these Silver and Guard. It was a really limp charge, to be honest, and I pull out pretty quick here as I see the Dragon Princes committing to the Bastiladon with the Solar Engine here that, again, has put its Snakes down, and we see some pretty decent damage going down on that steady tick of damage there from the Snakes on the Dragon Princes. Their physical resistance won't hurt them. I don't think will really help them there, and they are poisoned, but a nice pop of Shield of Thorns there, just buffing the physical resistance now that they've pulled out to fight the Horned ones, who are even in combat while that's going down, but they probably will be able to grind it out the longer it goes, just through armor piercing and attrition. But elsewhere, we're sort of doing pretty well. The red-crested skinks fighting spearmen here are going to deal with them pretty quick, and they're probably not going to take too much damage on the return. The Silver and Guard is still holding 46 models here. There's 85 spearmen out here, finish off the last of these red-crested skinks. And my opponent's archers now have sort of rallied and are sort of on the periphery and a bit unprotected. So you're going to see the Horned ones move out here of this fight. One of them is going to break off to try and sort of pin Alariel. Another one is going to try and deal with the remainder of these Dragon Princes. But pretty soon, the Mage of Metal has gone down. But I just want to sort of eliminate any sort of chip damage that we can possibly take here. These Silver and Guard, or these Spearmen, have shattered. Silver and Guard here are fighting a bunch of cohorts, but they're keeping them away from the main fight here, so that's probably value in my favour. As Alariel does come back in, we see once again Snakes going down. The Arcane Phoenix is still really, really healthy, and he's probably going to look to push up here to do another Vortex. But Alariel's healthy. They're going to try and hunt Mazdamundi. There's still a few little Dragon Princes sniffing around. A healthy unit of Spearmen here, so still a pretty pitched fight. As you see here, I've broken off some skink cohorts to try and just finish off these archers, get free picks on the periphery of the fight as quick as we can. I need to get these Horned ones microed back in, and I need to get this Bastiladon back to the main fight. But you're going to see here a nice little bit of banishment there, managing to clip off a fair few of those spearmen. Mazdamundi actually up to 60 kills now, but he's getting pretty low. I pop Cold-Blooded on him to try and keep him in the fight, make sure he doesn't rout, but he will need to probably pop a few Apotheoses down just to make sure he can see the fight out and just sort of anchor the line. But again, the Snakes going down, and the Spearmen are just sort of copying it, and that doesn't do friendly damage to my Skinky boys, I'm fairly sure. So fighting in and amongst that is pretty handy, pretty nice little buffer. Shield of the Old Ones obviously gets a nice juicy sort of bit of value there on the blob. The cohort of Sotek with 726 HP left still have 27 unit models. I've actually been able to pop the Refuse to Die at pretty crucial moments. And again, we're just coming back in, cycle charging. These Dragon Princes, 8 and 9, are were just getting dragged down through attrition by the Skink cohort, but the Arcane Phoenix has been able to rout them off. Rushing in the red-crested skinks here to try and get poison, to try and keep the Arcane Phoenix on the ground, but I believe I didn't manage to get a hit there. And the Horned ones managed to make it just in time. They probably will get terror routed, but again, we're just keeping the Arcane Phoenix grounded, because I realise another vortex here, one of the fiery vortexes that the Phoenix can do, could really rout off a lot of my buffering, a lot of my support here. Two for one in Alariel here. It's probably not a fight. She's a capable combatant, but she doesn't really want to fight a Bastillodon and Mazdamundi together. And now we're sort of just getting into the late game, where we've mopped up all the sort of all the periphery. The Dragon Princes are on their last legs. 7 models left. There was a nice Earthblood that went down before. So despite the fact that we have a healthy Arcane Phoenix and a semi-healthy Alariel, with the Star of Avalon going down, I'm still feeling like we're in a pretty good position here. The Bastillodons are pretty healthy. Aside from the Arcane Phoenix, or the Arcane Phoenix actually itself doesn't have massive amounts of weapon damage, particularly when it's poisoned by the skinks. And with Shield of the Old Ones sort of basically being able to clip all my forces now, I'm just getting up and around, trying to pin in, get rear charges with the Horned ones as much as I can, and fighting amongst a big horde of angry dinos, unleashing their snakes on her. Alariel is getting pretty low and is starting to waver. I do split my infantry here because I do see that vortex coming, but I think they get caught up on Alariel and they actually get sucked back into the fight. And probably take a little bit more damage, but the single entities won't really care about the vortex here, and the Arcane Phoenix at this point sort of has to get committed. I think my opponent maybe just committing to the banner rules, but Alariel dies. More snakes going down. I'm just popping them just because I can at this point. I don't know if they do all that much damage to Arcane Phoenixes and other single entities, but Alariel is dead. The Phoenix is sort of just fighting by itself now. And with the Dragon Princes being terrified and probably about to shatter as they do there, my opponent will be forced to land. And the single entity fight here, as most people would know, just single entity fights are often just won by whoever has the most single entities. The Arcane Phoenix is probably pound for pound a better combatant than the Bastillodon Ark of Sotek, but is just going to get pulled down here just through attrition. It's obviously exposing its flanks and rears to a lot of attacks here. It's going to be poisoned now by the red-crested skinks, and it will shatter, and the Lizardmen will take the day. So I was pretty happy with the Horned ones. Between the three of them, 1,700 value there, 1,900, 600. That one's obviously been fairly worked down. But between the three of them, they've got their value back. They've given me some mobility. They're pretty sturdy. They've got good leadership. The one thing that, as I said at the start, that does sort of hold them back is that having a smaller model count means taking casualties on them is pretty, exponentially weakens them, more so than a regular unit of sort of 45 heavy cav. They're also not the quickest, so they can be outpaced by a lot of Elven cavalry, apart from maybe cold ones on the Dark Elven roster. But the Dragon Prince has still got reasonably good value. Dragon Prince, obviously, with the help of Shield of Thorns and things like that, and obviously the healing that Alariel brings, a fantastic unit. But I feel like these guys did their job. Cleaned up the archers once they'd broken out of the fight, gave me some mobility, gave me some armor piercing and some punch, and got to fight in and amongst a lot of sort of poisoned enemies with the red-crested skinks. So the cohort of Sotek did great work. The other two red-crested skinks, again, between them, got their value, and I think imparting their poison was pretty big in a number of fights where we were having to fight against Alariel and Arcane Phoenixes with our single entities. So having that poison buffer and a little bit of armor piercing in the front line was pretty decent. Skinks basically just died, but I mean, if you can get 300 value plus back on a unit of Skinks, they've absolutely done their job. So they complemented the force well. Again, it's just bodies and hit point buffering. Mazdamundi with his banishments and his ruination, as well as just his Shield of the Gods. The damage value there is one thing, but that doesn't take into account Shield of, like I said, Shield of the Old Ones, and a lot of the other ways, a lot of the healing that he gave through Apotheosis. I think I got one, I don't know if I caught it in the replay there, but I got one good Curse of Midnight Wind on a blood fight. And then have a look at this. The Ark of Sotek. 2,000 there, 1,300 there. I'll absolutely take that on a, pretty meme-worthy unit any day of the week. 30 kills there, 63 kills there, but a lot of just, I guess, again, poison. Being able to impart poison in the blob fight, and just put a lot of sort of burst damage into infantry to punch through meant, the Silver and Guard didn't really get grilled. That one's got some decent value, but 500 there, 600 there. They've held, but they haven't really held anything substantial back. They weren't really able to, the Archer line still got compromised reasonably well. I think a lot of these units actually had a reasonable amount of ammunition, when they got sort of shattered off and killed off. But the Metal Mage there is a good little pick with Archer spam. Obviously, Overcast Plague of Rusts can be really handy. The Phoenix, cool pick, cool to see something different there. But I think we just had good numbers, and as I said, complementing our heavy hitters who can obviously pack a big punch, but can't necessarily take a big punch back with poison and just bodies was enough to win the day. So, yay for the Ark of Sotek. Tick next to its name today. Can't promise anything the next time we take it or you take it, but we managed to squeak out a win with 2 Ark of Soteks. So thanks to the Norm for the game, and thanks to you guys for checking it out. Until next time, take care.